Welcome back once more to Inside Politics. You now have the chance to have the final say on our discussions today. You remember you can call in with your views, comments and questions. Let me take a few tweets here very quickly. Alex Nyandarua says, I don't think a route of marriage broke due to what they call Ruto's early campaigns. Remember, immediately after the 2017 election, Murathe was quoted saying that even his close friends should not now be ready for Uhuru's tough actions, meaning it was planned early. George MacLeod says the problem DP is that he is arrogant and full of pride and disrespectful to his boss. Julius Onyango, Walter Brown says Uhuru is concerned of his legacy. Ruto's unfathomable thirst for power has made him dwell on his 2022 succession politics. It's only in Kenya where the DP wants to outshine his boss. Joseph Mutisa says the reins started beating us since Moi left us in succession politics mentality in 2002. Ruto has a right to do what he's doing because State House has stripped him of all the powers that be. Uhuru is not Ruto's boss. Let's define roles. Julius Amache says Uhuru was a convenient vehicle which was supposed to dodge ICC by taking the presidency. It served its usefulness in the re-election of President Uhuru in 2017. Betrayal and subordination, bullying of the president by Tanga team was a major cause of the fallout. Thanks for the tweets. Keep the conversation going onto the hashtag is Inside Politics. Let's go to the phone lines now. I'll start with Dennis Omolo calling us from right here in Nairobi. Dennis, good afternoon.
First, I'd like to say hi to all of you.
Yes.
I'd like to address the issues as you've just addressed them.
Yes, sir, very quickly.
The issue of Western. What is this that is happening in Western? Every time we have an election, it is only in Western Kenya where we have this kind of activities, where we have this kind of political disunity. It's only in Western where everybody is camping kitchen. If it is the DBI is for all Kenyans. Why is it not in Nyanza? Why is it not in Northeastern or any other part of Kenya? That's only in Western. On the second issue,
yes,
I think Kenyans, we should be more vigilant and we should not sit back and watch these issues of Jubilee from a perspective of analyzing them or commenting about them. It's going to be a loss for Kenyans if Jubilee does not hold together.
Right.
Because they just go all around, turn their faces, wear other clothes, and we still elect them. And the result will be the same. Talking about a legacy, I don't know what kind of legacy you're talking about. After the handshake is almost 2 to 3 years down the line, what that significant thing I will say is that we've achieved. Then if you remember during the elections, Unga came to 90 shillings. Today, Unga is more than 130 shillings. The petrol, you just saw the other day, it raises more than 17 shillings.
Right.
And you wonder, we living in a country where we have an opposition that should stand up for our people. Look at the revenue division bill. We've not had 30 positions as it should be. So thank you, Ben.
All right. Thank you.
That's what I have to say for today.
Thank you, Dennis, for your call. Dennis Omolo from here in Nairobi. Let's go to Margaret Mboga calling us from the county of Vihiga. Margaret, how are you?
Mzuri sana.
Hebu tupe maoni yako kuhusu hii maneno tunaongea leo.
Unajua hii maneno mnaongea kitu inanipitana katika kamata moja. Na mimi nitajibu sasa. Mimi nauliza hivi, machozi yangu inatoka. Namwagika machozi. Ninalia. Mzee mmoja alisema nyinyi ambao mnataka kutawala nchi ya Kenya, muhakikishe msiangushe Kenya. Msiangushe nchi ya Kenya, msiangushe watu wa Kenya. Leo hii utawala ambao huko unaongoza wa Kenya kihimula. Kwa sababu niseme hivyo, mambo ya kusema tanga, hakuna cha tanga, kila mtu dunia hii anatanga kutafuta vile atapata tumbo, akule, anatafuta vile atatanga, apate mtoto kusoma kufanya nini. Na leo hii nchi inaungua, magonjwa imezidi, corona ndio hiyo inatandika watoto hawana kazi, sisi tunalia, hatuna mbele wala nyuma. Viongozi wetu wala natuambia kaa kwa nyumba, na ndio hao wanafanya mikutano. Ile mikutano wanafanya jamani, mbona wasifanye mikutano ya kusaidia wananchi wa Kenya ili kusudi nchi iwe na afya, ndio watakapotaka kura zile wanataka 2022 wazipate. Naomba Rais Kenyatta atawacha legacy gani? Handshake yake na mzee Raila, huyu makamu wa handshake, hii handshake yake wataacha ni kazi gani? Na handshake imekuwa ya kubagua wengine na kukaribisha wengine. Nalia machozi yangu, nadondokwa na machozi. Nchi ya Kenya iko pabaya, wananchi wanaumia, uchumi umezorota, kupata kwa nyumba unga ni tabu tupu. Hata wakisikia ni Margaret nimefika, nimeruka kutoka niko Nairobi, nikashika tu dungu na kuweka ndani. Asante Ruto, hakuna kitu amefanya. Ruto akitusaidia daraja uvuke na watoto yako. Alafu ikifika zamu yake ya kuvuka, wewe unavuruta daraja na watoto yake anaanguka ndani. Hata aliye juu atasikia vizuri. Ruto amba Mungu, Yesu alikuwa peke yake, alipigwa mijeledi, damu ilitoka, lakini akasema wasafiri wajui ile watendalo.
Margaret, asante sana. Margaret Mboga. Margaret Mboga calling us from the county of Vihiga. She has a lot to say. She is frustrated. Thanks for your call, Margaret. We also have Joseph Aringo calling us from Kisumu. Joseph, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, talk. Joseph? We seem to have lost Joseph Aringo there. He was calling us from Kisumu. We're trying to reconnect with Joseph Aringo, and the other phone lines. They seem to be having some technical hitches. But let me go very quickly to more of your tweets here on what you're saying about our discussions today. Remember, we've talked about the fall of Ruto. We've talked about the issue of Parliament being described as an extension of the executive. We said we're calling it the death of Parliament. It's the Kenyan Parliament dead. And we've also talked about the issue of political leadership in this country not respecting the COVID-19 containment measures. Keep tweeting us on that. We have Joseph Cheruyot, I understand. Bernard Siboga from Kisii, calling us from Kisii. Bernard, how are you, sir?
I am fine.
Talk to us.
I really want to talk about the fall of Ruto.
Yes.
I think the two guys are quite different in terms of personality. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
They are two different people, because if you look at the Ruto,
Yeah.
Ruto is a very smart guy. He can be able to combine politics and service delivery, and he is able to put the two together and is able to do it very well. And you will find our president is not able to combine both the two.
All right.
He wants to separate the politics and the service delivery. What I am very sure, Ruto is not able to do that, because he's a kind of a guy who is able to marry the two. He's able to do the politics, and at the same time, he is able to do the service delivery. Another thing,
Yes.
I think our president does not understand the motto of our constitution. When we came up with the current constitution, actually we reduced the powers of the president. And that's why we had a person who we call the deputy president. I think still you will find the president wants to be very powerful as he used to be.
All right.
And that's why you will find that when he's seeing the deputy president is coming in as the deputy of the Republic of Kenya, as it is demanded by the constitution, you will find that Ruto will feel as if the deputy president is trying to outsmart him.
Yes.
And this makes the two people to be a bit different. And another thing which I can really say, which brought about the fall of Ruto, is about the handshake.
Right.
Because from the word go, you will find that the road to 2022 was very clear. 10 yangu, 10 yako. But when the handshake came in, it brought another scenario. And that scenario actually bring in the fall of the two. Because here is a president who wants to leave the legacy. yes, a president who wants again to come with the BBI.
All right. In your opinion, is the handshake a good thing as you wind up?
The handshake, what I think, is actually a curse for this nation. Because if you look at this handshake very clearly, it is not going to add anything good in the plate of the Kenyans. Because if you look at it, it's about bringing positions so that we can accommodate the politicians.
All right.
And that's why I believe the totality about the handshake is about what we call the political class interest, which does not actually benefit the people we call the Wanjikus or the Moras. So that one brought complications.
Okay.
And that's why we are, the root of side or the root of feels as if the president wants to bring in the CPI, and maybe in the future they make him to be a junior with them. And that one has actually brought the fall between the two.
All right, thank you, sir. That's Bernard Sibuoga calling us from Kisii. Let's have one final caller here on the show. Let's talk to Gian Wahome calling us from Kisumu. Gian, how are you?
Hello, Ben.
Yes, you have 1 minute. Talk to us.
Long time. Will 1 minute be enough?
It's more than enough.
More than enough.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Let me go directly then and put the other matters aside and go directly to the Uhuru-Ruto fallout.
Yes.
Ben, you have to remember that we cannot bury our heads in the sand and pretend that this nation, we cannot ignore our history as a country. We know where we are coming from and where we are going. We know what happened to this nation in 2007. That one we can remember very much vividly.
Yes.
And we remember what happened in 2013. This nation has been fighting about resources. This nation has been fighting about inclusivity.
All right.
This nation is about the national cake. 2 communities or 3 communities cannot continue coming together with the purpose of forming government, and then the 2 or 3 communities also participate in looting the resources of this country. When I hear people dismissing an idea like the BBI, these are people who have not understood where this country has come from and where it's going. The BBI, people should go back and read the BBI well, and also exclude the political narrative in it. Let me look at what brought about the Ruto-Uhuru fallout. You have to remember very well that Ruto presidential ambitions cannot be too bigger than the country and the president's legacy. It is President Uhuru Kenyatta himself who promised to Ruto that he will campaign personally for him. But Ruto, because he could not be very patient and going by the events of the politics of the day, and you know very well Ruto aides, political aides and supports, most of them have been implicated in corruption scandals. These are the same corruption scandals that Ruto's wing has been opposing. President Kenyatta has been very firm on the fight on graft. Even if he is facing some challenges with the judiciary, he has been firm fighting graft.
Thank you.
The other thing is the Kenyatta blessing. Let me conclude, Ben.
Yes, very quickly.
With this point. You have to remember that our politics revolve around tribe. Ruto himself decided to penetrate in central Kenya without the blessing of President Kenyatta. You have to remember, Ben, it's President Kenyatta who came to central Kenya and told the central people, the mountain people, that he has decided to work with the Ruto that they had problem with in 2003. So the reason why Ruto decided to penetrate central Kenya without the blessing of Kenyatta is also a contributor to this fallout.
All right.
That's why today, as we talk, President Kenyatta has decided, and I can confidently tell you that the ball has shifted. And that's why you see these politics of the purge in the Jubilee.
All right.
You can see all the alignment. You can see recently we reconstituted the committees.
Thank you, Gian.
All these are geared towards delivering the manifesto.
Thank you, Gian. Gian Wahome calling us from Kisumu. Let's leave it there. Thank you for your calls and your tweets. Keep the conversation going. Ladies and gentlemen, let me come to you for the final thoughts. And as you do that, I'll ask you a question. Let me begin with you, Roslyn. There's the splash on the Standard today. Uhuru fixers meet Raila to stop revolt. This is over the third basis proposal by the Commission on Revenue Allocation to share revenue among the 47 counties. As you give me your final thoughts, is this issue the biggest test yet to the handshake?
Ben, I think this is going to be the biggest test, because if you look at some of the senators and who have been very adamant in discussing this third allocation formula, they've been saying it goes beyond the political parties, it goes beyond the party leadership, it's about Wanjiku. And no county is ready to lose any funds. And this is why we've seen even the Speaker of the Senate has tried to hold two Kamukunjis, that is an informal sitting, to just try to hammer a deal and ensure that this formula is passed. But up to last week, when Orengo decided to move an adjournment motion to just allow members to ventilate, because the mood in the House was not that will have been pleasant for the debate, there's still a difficult position based, and if you look at today's story, they're talking about 27 senators saying they are going to reject this formula, which leaves only 20 senators supporting the formula. But if you look at some of the arguments that they are advancing, they're saying that if this formula is implemented the way it is, it's more scientific, and it's going to disenfranchise many counties, especially those that were classified under the sessional paper of 1965, those which were not wealthy and were not in the highlands, especially. And if you look at now the craft, then it's the northeastern counties. We look at the coastal region, we look at the Ma community, Kisii, and western region. And their fears is that if these counties lose allocation, then they are going to be more marginalized than they are now. And the challenge that Raila stands in is that as much as he's ready to support Uhuru, whose backyard stands to gain the allocation, most of the affected counties are the potential constituencies which, yes, that he will approach in 2022.
Dismas, quickly, your final thoughts.
Well, in my view, the President Kenyatta has to accept a new formula which does not disadvantage any county, because the disadvantaging counties today is unacceptable. And then all public servants, state officers or public officials who are in breach of the COVID protocols must find it necessary to resign their positions, like what has happened in South Africa and what has happened in New Zealand, where ministers were in breach of these protocols. They may not resign their elective positions, but anything else they should resign. And then the last item is that President Kenyatta now must respond to the wishes of Musalia Mudavadi and appoint an economic recovery team right now, because Kenyans are bleeding and they're going to bleed to death if you don't have a very solid economic recovery strategy.
Thank you. Ishmael, 40 seconds only. Give us your final thoughts.
We must be very careful not to kill devolution through this bottlenecking release of funds to the counties. And overall, I just want to encourage Kenyans that we should not focus on a few challenges we have, either politically or administratively, which are only time-bound. We shall definitely cross over the bridge and have a better nation.
Thank you. Mark Bichachi, have the last word.
Ben, I'd like to remind my fellow citizens of this great country not to follow the example that is being set by some in the political class. The desire to return to normalcy must never exceed the desire to remain alive. COVID-19 is a real threat, it's a real disease. No bar, no Iluya unity is more important than keeping yourself alive. Our politicians, unfortunately, need to take note that it is only for such a short time that we shall continue to tolerate their bad behavior in terms of them taking advantage of their privilege. Yes, indeed, the bell will toll and they need not ask whom it tolls for it tolls for them.
Thank you. Many thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me this Sunday to help put perspective on some of the issues, the biggest political and policy issues happening in this country. Mark Bichachi, communication strategist, Dismas Mokua, political risk analyst, my colleague, senior reporter at The Standard, Roslyn Obala, as well as lawyer Ishmael Nyaribo. Always a pleasure having you in studio with me. And so we leave it on Inside Politics this Sunday. Thank you for watching. I'm Ben Kitili. Bye for now.